Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us for this Local Government Climate Roadmap webinar, where we will give an update on the UN Warsaw Climate Conference outcomes for local and subnational governments. My name is Marijke van Staden. I'm the manager of ICLEI's Low Carbon Cities program. Our main presenter will be Yunus Arikan, the head of our global policy and advocacy, who is also the focal point of the local governments and local governments and municipal authorities constituency, the LGMA, which is a term you will hear quite often in this presentation. We will have one presenter and then open up for discussion, so please start thinking about your questions that you would like to use. I would like to introduce Mojca just quickly to run through our technical issues. Mojca?
Thank you, Marijke. Just to let you know, everyone is muted by default, so we improved the sound quality, but of course you can communicate either by typing in your question and then Marijke will read them later, or after the presentation you can also click on this little hand icon indicating that you would like to talk and we will unmute you. If you're joining by phone, you can type in your question. If you're not on the online platform at all, just send us an email and we will raise your question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mojca. Very briefly, I would like to start just by introducing ICLEI for those of you who are not familiar with our organization. ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability. In short, we just call ourselves ICLEI, is an international network with more than 1,000 members, which are from large cities, metropolises to small towns, and representing more than 570 million people in 86 countries. We have 17 country or regional offices or capacity development centers which support the 8 urban agendas. These directly relate to city agendas where we give them support, technical support, and also advocacy, such as the Local Government Climate Roadmap. We work also on 3 streams, and I would like to zoom in on one particular one, which is about the roadmap. But first, just would like to mention that we give technical support through our low carbon city agenda, which includes activities such as the new protocol, which is under development, but also practical support to local governments on MRV and process development. In the center, the dark blue box is about global processes and the reporting platform, which Yunus will also focus on. This is one of the largest global reporting platforms for cities, which is supported by the Mexico City Pact and the Durban Adaptation Charter, and it is managed by the Carbon Center. And we also work in close cooperation, for example, with the Earth Hour City Challenge, which is a great opportunity for cities to join and compete with one another on local climate action. However, we'll zoom in on the last part, which is the advocacy, the global climate advocacy process, linking to the UN processes, and there our roadmap is the prominent focus of our webinar today. So I'd like to hand over at this point to Yunus Arikan to explore the outcomes of the Warsaw COP. Yunus?
Thanks, Marijke. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all colleagues joining today with us. In today's presentation, we would like to take you how we prepare to Warsaw, what happened in practical terms, what events took place, what were the official outcomes and strategic outcomes for local and subnational governments, and how did we achieve these milestone achievements, and what would be the next couple of weeks and months ahead in terms of our engagement in the global processes. As we have mentioned, after the presentation, we would be more than happy to hear your comments, questions, or further remarks, and we look forward to continuing this dialogue on the days ahead. So let's just have a flashback on like 2 decades of the past to be presented in a nutshell with this slide. Let's recall that in the UNFCCC adopted in '92 and the Kyoto Protocol adopted in '97, there was no reference to local and subnational governments. So during this period of the first 10 years of the global climate action, we were mainly working on our own campaigns like Cities for Climate Protection and initiatives. Starting from Montreal, when Kyoto entered into force, there were more and more institutions being involved in the climate agenda, and especially in 2007, when the United Nations adopted the Bali Roadmap, local governments have also adopted the Local Government Climate Roadmap, which is mirroring their advocacy. The goal was to ensure that local and subnational governments are appropriately recognized, engaged, and empowered. Of course, on the way to 2009, we have mobilized hundreds and thousands of cities. In Copenhagen, we had a number of interactions during the summit. After Copenhagen, there was a period of ambiguity about how to go forward. Therefore, in this period, local and subnational governments, through the roadmap, focused on their own homework, and we had come up with a number of initiatives, including the Mexico City Pact, which is a global commitment that our transparency and accountability is ensured, the Durban Adaptation in 2011, and initiatives like Earth Hour City Challenge also joined these processes. And in the 2012, we also launched the global protocol together with C40 and RRI and ICLE. And the Resilient Cities Congress was also mobilizing a number of opportunities. Meanwhile, Covenant of Mayors or other regional efforts like Resilient Communities for America started to engage more and more actively in the process. In addition to that, we also have seen initiatives like individual cities like Tokyo or states like Quebec and California to start their emission trading models, which is all giving the impression that local governments are strong elements of the actions worldwide. So let's recall what was just immediately before Warsaw. How did we prepare ourselves? As we said, Bali was a milestone, and in Durban, the nations have started to start a new phase of negotiations. This time they said that an agreement will be adopted in 2015, and it will enter into force only in 2020. This was the biggest focus for ourselves, saying that there should be a new phase of the roadmap focusing to 2013 and 2015, and we have adopted our 20 action points at the Nantes Summit in 2013 September. It provided us the milestones of how we would act. For example, we would make use of the Friends of Cities as a new opportunity. We would make use of the achievements of our recognition. We would like to propose additional events like ministerial mayoral dialogues or specific technical working programs, and hoping that there will be a local low carbon standalone focus by the Paris 2015 outcome, who would start a 10-year action plan for us. That was our vision. And the good news is that the Nantes Declaration has been endorsed by more than 20 local, national, regional and global networks of local and subnational governments. It has been endorsed by a number of associations, which is giving us the confidence that our approach is a bottom-up and united throughout the whole geographical coverage. While I will go to the next slides in terms of concrete outcomes, let us recall that there is one single message out of all these discussions. So by 2007, we started recognition, engagement, and empowerment as our 3 goals. What we say is that by 2010, with the Cancun agreements, local and subnational governments have achieved a huge recognition where we are now referred as governmental stakeholders. This gives us the confidence that our first goal is adopted and our first goal is achieved. Of course, now the next step is how we will engage, how we will be working specifically at the national and global level on each areas of the climate work: mitigation, adaptation, capacity building, technology transfer, and finance. And Warsaw has paved a huge, important road for this process, and we would like to build upon that in the next couple of sessions. And of course, which is the biggest vision, is that how we will empower our cities, how we will empower our local and subnational governments through especially the funds that will be available. Obviously, the goal is that the investments and the scale of action simply is beyond the capacity of the national municipal budgets, but through the new partnership spirit, we can make a better use of all the global resources, and we can reward the ambitious actions and vision and commitments of the local and subnational governments that will contribute to the global level of ambition that is formulated in the ADP process. And we are confident that this will be working forward in the couple of negotiation phases. Obviously, we are aware that the global climate funds in that sense is managed through the differentiation between Annex and non-Annex 1 countries, but we would like to also highlight the value of city-to-city networking and city-to-city learning and additional innovative financing options that will also enable us, the cities of the north, and then also globally, that will benefit from those existing initiatives. So with this summary, let's recall what was the agenda for local and subnational governments in Warsaw. Basically, since '95, local and subnational governments, as the constituency of LGMA, have been contributing like side events or municipal summits. But this year's unique thing is that for the first time we had an important agenda items officially in the UNFCCC negotiation process. The first one was a workshop on the 14th of November, which was a negotiation phase. The second one was in the second week, which is branded as the 21st of November Cities Day, and the high-level event of this day was the COP presidency of the Cities and Subnational Dialogue. You can notice that there are a number of events hosted by partners other than the local and subnational governments, which also gives the indication that there's a huge buy-in to this concept, and global collaboration is the key message. And in the next couple of slides, we will take you through some of the photos, which gives you the exact feeling of what has happened. The first thing, of course, the COP presidency was a unique event, which was hosted by the Polish government in their capacity as the presidency of the COP, but strongly backed up with the United Nations Secretary General. He opened the opening. He delivered the opening remark with Christiana Figueres, and Mayor of Warsaw was also the other host of this event. And you can see that there is a broad representation of the local and subnational governments from every continent, from every size, which strengthens that the scope of local and subnational action is diverse in terms of the capacity and the opportunities, and of course the challenges as well. The uniqueness, as we have mentioned, that the session, there was two sessions, one on mitigation and one on adaptation. It was jointly shared by ministers, as you can see here, from France, South Korea, Netherlands, and Colombia, and also shared by the mayors from all around the world, and also as well as the UN agencies and global partners. The small picture on the right is also taken from the ADP workshop. In fact, this ADP workshop was also the unique proposal that came from the local and subnational governments, and it was focused for the first time in details on transport and buildings, with the role of governments in raising the level of ambition, and ICLE was proud to deliver the introductory presentation. Throughout the 2 weeks, there had been events in both inside the UNFCCC and outside the UNFCCC, both official UNFCCC side events, but there was events hosted by US Center, there was events hosted by City of Warsaw, there was events hosted by EU under the brand of the Implementation Day in collaboration with Globe and ICLE. The Friends of Cities, one of the first Friends of Cities, Indonesia, hosted another event. We had also benefited from the partners like World Bank and Jeff, and we have used all possible opportunities outside the UNFCCC area, like climate solutions, climate action program, Connect for Climate, and there was a one-day unique event hosted by the China Pavilion. So, after all these interactions, which lasted for 2 weeks, what did we concretely achieve? We had recognized that Warsaw was unique because it was the time where we had managed to get a second COP decision after the Cancun decision, focusing on cities and not subnational governments. The decision is focused especially in the ADP workstream on 2, which is enhancing mitigation ambition, and it strongly refers to benefit from the experience and best practice of cities and subnational governments. There's another decision which is not in the higher level as a COP decision, but as an ADP conclusion, where based on the interaction in the ADP workshop and the Cities Day, the negotiators decided to convene a forum in June 2014 in Bonn, which will focus more on the exchange of experience among parties on the best practice of cities and subnational authorities. So these are the two official outcomes of the Warsaw. If we can have a summary of these those achievements as a strategic point, we can say that in addition to being the official engagement in the whole process as for the first time uniquely, we also make an underlining point that the outcomes are also a result of our proactive approach to the negotiations, where proposals from non-declaration and other submissions have paved the way. And of course, we started with a panel, and then we had made some roundtables. We had a workshop in Warsaw, and now we are going towards a forum, which already gives indication that every event we are raising the level of engagement, and hopefully we will have more outcomes in that process. So in summary, what we are saying is that the thing that impressed the UN negotiations in the most sense is that the local governments are demonstrating that they are not waiting for a global decision, but they're already advancing in line with the global principles. Our Mexico Pact, Registry, Carbon Cities Climate Registry, Durban Adaptation Charter, Global Partnership, Global Protocol. These are all giving the strong vision, mission and the message to the nations that local governments are already following the global process and even progressing beyond what is being achieved as a consensus. So this will strengthen what will be coming out of the Paris outcome. And of course, the other point is that we are not reacting as local and subnational governments, but we are actively proposing ideas, proposing new innovative models, and this should continue as a key lessons learned that on the way towards Paris, we will continue to propose our ideas so that we come up with concrete outcomes, especially the national governments are appreciating that we are constructively participating in the process. The thing that is important in this couple of years is that in the Rio +20, in the biodiversity, local and subnational governments are strongly referred as the global partners of the United Nations system. Therefore, we are benefiting from these experiences, and the creation of the Friends of Cities at the moment consists of France, Poland, Mexico, and Indonesia, is giving us an opportunity that our proposals are then taken up by the negotiators and put forward as official positions, so that our role as observers is now much more strongly channeled and translated into the negotiation process. That we believe is a working structure that we would like to be continuing in the future. So, as we all know, our concrete strength is that the Carbon Cities Climate Registry is now populating the information from 1/7 of the global urban population, which are now reporting their commitments, actions, and emission inventories, demonstrating that the cities are already advancing in their transparency, accountability, and they are ready to go forward if they can receive additional technical and financial supports. And this registry is supported by political voluntary commitments like Mexico's Pact signatories, national capacity building efforts like UrbanLEDs and PACMUN, and also rewarding mechanisms like Earth Our City Challenge, and we would like to increase number of partnerships and the scope of partnerships in that regard. This chart demonstrates how concretely we can synthesize the information that is represented at the registry. The commitments, for example, are demonstrating that more than 74% of the commitments are targeted to 2020 goals, and more than 63% of them are ambitious than 1% per year of emission reductions. This gives us the confidence for us to position to the national governments that if they take the local commitments on board, they can much faster continue to go forward with the actions that they would like to develop in the days ahead. In fact, now we're getting closer to the end of our presentation. So now we would like to summarize what is the key milestones in the next couple of weeks and months. Immediately after Warsaw, a key progress achieved in the United Nations in New York through the negotiations of Sustainable Development Goals. The post-2015 development agenda is now more prominently addressing sustainable urbanization as one of the core elements of this global efforts, and in that sense, low carbon, climate resilient, and sustainable urbanization definitely will play a key role. In that sense, these two processes are going hand in hand. On 31st of January, there was a unique announcement coming from United Nations Secretary General's office, where he announced that Mr. Mayor Bloomberg, former mayor of New York City, Michael Bloomberg, was appointed as the special envoy for cities and climate change. This will definitely provide a strong support to the ongoing efforts of the local and subnational governments under the Local Government Climate Roadmap. He has a mandate to raise the engagement towards the UN Secretary General Summit on the 23rd of September, but as well as towards the Paris 2015 outcome as well. In March, there will be negotiators coming to Bonn, focusing on the first round of the negotiations after Bonn, after Warsaw. We will hear the announcement of the Earth Our City Challenge, global and national champions, and there will be a deadline for submission to the ADP, where we are already preparing ourselves. There will be a World Urban Forum in April. In May, we will receive the final results of the IPCC, and in Bonn, we will host the Resident Cities Congress. And in June, we would be looking forward to the design that the ADP co-chairs and the UNFCCC secretaries will be developing so that we can contribute either as an observer or through the national delegations to the forum of parties on city actions. We are discussing with the Venezuelan government about the engagement of local governments in the pre-COP summit in July, and we will raise our profile in the UN Climate Summit. Towards the end of the year, we will have an additional biodiversity discussions in Korea, and Caracas will be the social COP. And in 2015, the efforts will be connected hand in hand to the Hyogo Framework of Action second phase, which is disaster reduction. That will be in Sendai. UN post-2015 summit, and Paris would be the 2015 milestones. As you can imagine, these are already the big headlines. Definitely, there are a lot of intermediate technical meetings, which gives us the message that there is a huge agenda, but there is a huge also an opportunity for us to engage more actively and ensure that the next round of the global climate regime definitely builds upon the strength of the local and subnational governments. In conclusion, from our side, the three priorities on the next phases is that by the 2014 UN Climate Summit, we would like to benefit from our existing efforts through the information, the Carbon Cities Climate Registry, that we would like to increase the number of cities and the number of commitments that is towards 2020 and beyond, so that we will be working with our partners, that the information is much more solid and very and measurable and reportable and verifiable. During this technical negotiations, our vision is that by Paris 2015 outcome document, we would like to foresee one single package that contains a vision for low carbon cities, like a 10-year action plan, which will solidify the technical engagement, the technical and financial support. This is similar to the adopted decision in the biodiversity in the cities and biodiversity action plan that was adopted in 2010. So the practice has been fruitful, and we would like to reflect this to the climate processes. And among all these discussions, we are already addressing that there is a couple of key challenges for us, and we would like to continue our work with our partners and local government networks. One is to prevent double counting in terms of both commitments and climate reductions and emissions. And of course, the other point is how we can ensure a vertical integration, a much more harmonized governance of climate action at the national and global level, focusing onto the urban development, sustainable urban development. With this, I'd like to, in fact, come to a conclusion of our presentation. Definitely, this was a very rapid presentation, and we're eager to deepen it once there's questions and remarks. But basically, you can follow the information through the local government climate roadmap. The networks, local government networks, so local and subnational networks are more than welcome to join us, and we will be continue to share with you the updates that we will hear from the UNFCCC or other forums, so that we can better prepare ourselves to the ongoing efforts, especially with the motto of raising global level of ambition through local climate action. With this, I'd like to congratulate and thank all the partners who have been involved in the Warsaw, the way towards Warsaw, and in Warsaw, especially the hosts and the partners. And with that, I would like to give the floor back to Marijke.
Thank you very much, Yunus, for that very fast presentation. I would now like also to invite people to share their questions if they have any, but maybe let's start also with our Polish colleagues. I see Tomasz Krzysztof is on the line. Would you maybe like to share a few thoughts? I'll unmute you so that you can share also what you found particularly interesting as an outcome from the Warsaw COP. Not sure if you have your speaker ready. There we go. Tomasz, please speak. The floor is yours.
There may be a difficulty with connection because Tomasz is connecting via phone. Mojca, maybe during the next couple of minutes you can help to connect to Tomasz Krzysztof, who is the national focal point of Polish delegation and the COP presidency. So that's Mojca maybe help us in the next couple of minutes.
Okay, then shall we continue with some of the questions that are being asked? Let's see. How is the city's climate registry taking place? Is this self-assessment? If so, how can we ensure to provide a true picture of where things stand in the cities?
Thanks for the question. The city's climate registry is a voluntary initiative of the local governments that was launched in 2010. It basically refers to Article 4 of the Mexico City Pact, that basically every summit the local governments were coming up with announcements and declarations, but this time, starting from 2010, we want these commitments and progress to be more transparent and accountable. You can remember in Copenhagen we also announced more than 3,000 commitments, but obviously just to announce commitments is not enough. It has to be backed up with emission inventories. It has to be backed up with information solidly reported by the local governments. So this is a voluntary process, and in that sense we are demonstrating that the three elements of the global new regime, which is measurable, reportable, verifiable process, is done at the local level, and we can reach to a global information point through the information synthesis based on the reports mobilized by the cities. And as we have mentioned, there are numerous entry doors we can use through national and international supporting programs like Japan Registry, like PACMoon or UrbanNet, or there are supporting initiatives like Earth Hour City Challenge or the voluntary commitments of the Mexico Pact signatories. These are mainly the three ways of entry doors to the process, and we know that at this stage the information represented are not verified, but we are working in terms of proposing a verification process, and we will hope that there will also be a process that will come up soon.
Okay, thank you. No questions. There's another one coming. Also, yes, indicating that resilience actions can also be reported through the registry from the link to the Durban Adaptation Charter. I think we've not stressed that enough yet. This is also a relatively recent development where we are going to more closely cooperate with the Durban Adaptation Charter and use the registry as the platform for reporting. And in that sense, we're also creating offline reporting sheets to support the cities that don't have easy internet access. There's another question. Earth Hour. Can we share how the Earth Hour City Challenge has contributed to advancing the agenda for green and climate-friendly cities? Very interesting question. Yunus?
Yes, Earth Hour City Challenge, it was a unique effort of the Worldwide Fund, WWF. It started in 2010 at the national level in Sweden. And it was inspired by the Global Earth Hour, as you may all remember. That is in the 2000s. That was turning off the lights or the powers for 1 minute, and then it extends to 1 hour. But WWF very rightly came up with an idea that we should be going beyond the hour and then see how cities are doing throughout the year and in collaboratively. In 2011. We worked in the first round. In 2012 we had the first product. So the Earth Hour City Challenge is trying to motivate and reward the cities who are going towards 100% renewables and resilience in their national and local level. And in the past couple of years, starting from Sweden and as one country, we have now reached 14 countries. It is both North and South, developed and developing countries, and the WWF local offices, ICLE local offices are strongly collaborating to engage and convince local governments to join the Earth Hour, and then they report. And there's also a unique opportunity that a social media campaign, We Love Cities, is a vehicle for them to present their achievements. There's an international jury and set up by globally well-known experts. These are the body at the end, which is being supported by the information from Accenture, that the data that is reported is gone through an intensive assessment and evaluation procedure. At the end, there's both national Earth Hour champions, and every year a global Earth Hour champion is announced. Last year in 2013, that was Vancouver. Vancouver will host this year's Earth Hour City Challenge event, and it will be end of March, 28th of March, where we will also announce the 2013 and 2014 champions from 14 countries and one global Earth Hour City champion. Marijke?
Apologies, I had myself muted. I just wanted to also stress that these are activities that are open, and our aim is really to get as many city networks and local government associations on board in the roadmap process to share and mobilize their members to really make a strong statement at the next COP, at the COP in Lima and the COP in Paris. I would like to invite you again to ask questions. This is a great opportunity where you can ask or you can raise your hand if you would like to directly pose your question.
Moitze, is there any progress with Thomas Khrushchev? Oh, okay, she's still trying, I think. But we still have 30 minutes.
Another question, how is ICLEI and its partners engaging non-middle income country cities?
Well, Kelly, I see your question. Can you clarify what the typology that you're addressing? Do you want to give the example of non-middle income? Can you clarify with the question?
Let me just unmute her. There we go. Kelly, go ahead.
So what we can say in the meanwhile is that ICLEI is a global network, and we believe there are cities in every part of the earth since the beginning of the history. So for us, the size and geographical and the economical development is not the criteria. We believe every local government has a potential, every mayor has a vision, and every city and local action has to be strongly connected to citizen participation processes, and also it has to be connected to the global and national efforts. So in that sense, if you like, I can take you back to the slide of where ICLEI's network is existing. As far as I know, in all continents we have regional offices, country offices. You can connect to our office colleagues there. But basically, we would like to mobilize capacity building. We would like to engage them in our projects and tool development and tool implementation. And then we also strongly cooperate with them in terms of strengthening the advocacy.
Indeed, maybe as an enhancement to that, we also are working with UN Habitat to also reach cities in the least developed countries, which is very clearly in their mandate. And I believe through the Durban Adaptation Charter, we will get more of the poorer sections of the world also reporting. But do remember, this is still voluntary reporting, and this also leaves the element of capacity, if cities have the capacity to deal with reporting, which is quite challenging in some cases. A question on how to motivate and support cities to engage. That is also in part a question to the national government and the Friends of Cities group. But Yunus, do you have some ideas to share?
Sure. There's no one size fits for all, and there's no silver bullet. We have ambitious mayors or highly skilled local governments who are already faster in terms of demonstrating what they can be achieving, but there are also cities and or local government networks who are strongly looking forward to additional technical capacity building, both either from our networks like us or from their national governments. And of course, let's remember, all those cities, the red dots you see, the city staff who are reporting day to day, they are supposed to serve their citizens, and on top of them, a global reporting is not an easy thing, and when there's no reward, of course, it is on top of their daily workload. Therefore, we'd like to use this kind of Earth RCT challenge to the global recognition process, but especially with now in the Warsaw, when there are cities who are reporting and they're interacting at the UNFCCC, when there is a UNFCCC recognition to the information that is mobilized, this is definitely motivating the cities. Of course, this is the key that they believe, they feel that they are part of a global effort, and they are playing their role. We also know that there are regional efforts like Covenant of Mayors, who is actively mobilizing additional efforts, and we also would like to connect these kind of initiatives on a constructive and on a synergetic approach, so that we don't duplicate our efforts, but more coordinate and work in harmony.
Yunus, there's a question from our Colombian colleague. From what official sources do you take the information of local climate action of Colombian cities?
So all the information are reported by the local government staff. or the authority that is given by the mayor's office to the consultant they're working, but this is very unique, or there's very few. So when you look at the citiesclimateregistry.org, you would see that the information is what the cities are able to report. There's also the issue that it's mostly the environment departments of the cities. It's also the case like in a climate negotiation, there are ministers of environment staff, but there are also a lot of stuff going, Minister of Finance, Minister of Industrialization, Minister of Urbanization. The challenge of connecting this information to the UNFCCC similarly exists in the case of local government reporting, but basically it's mainly either the mayor's office or mainly the environment department or their staff in collaboration that compiles the information from their offices. And in the case of Colombia, the two driving forces for Colombian cities are the Mexico City Pact, the signatories to the Mexico City Pact, and the Earth Hour City Challenge participants who have been committed to demonstrate by reporting the information that they have they have implemented so far. These are the main source of information, and these are the main access of information.
Indeed, and I do believe we also would like, in the run-up to the September summit, the UN summit, it would be wonderful to also get many more cities to report, in particular to show also from the less developed countries, but from all countries, quite frankly, how cities are actually committing and what the local climate action activities are, both in the sense of mitigation and adaptation, to show the diversity, to show cities are acting, and to also put some pressure on the parties that are deciding the international negotiation process. So this is maybe some homework for all of you if you're interested to get your cities in your countries on board. And we are already actively exploring also with groups like the Covenant of Mayors how to connect the reporting platforms to ease the reporting burden for cities. No additional questions? You can also raise your hand if you would like to speak. Last call. This is a great opportunity you're going to miss if you don't ask. Nope. Okay, then this was a very fast webinar. We will upload the recording and the presentation online so that you can also take a look at that if you would like to refresh your memory. We do have another question here. How do you cooperate with the Covenant of Mayors? As I just now said, we do plan to also try and get a connection between the two reporting systems, so that a city that is a signatory of the Covenant of Mayors can hopefully just push a button and upload the data into the registry. We have already started these exploration discussions with the Covenant of Mayors and with DG Enno to see what is feasible, and this year hopefully we will come to some solution there to support the cities. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation. If you do have questions, you can welcome also to still write to us, and we do plan to do some more webinars in the future. There's another question came in. Our main challenge in developing countries is to downscale the climate change scenarios in order to take the right decisions, especially in risk management. Indeed. Yunus, do you have some comments on that?
I have nothing to add more. That's of course one of the biggest challenges, and it's not just limited to developing countries. Let's recall the fact that from our perspective, we are not differentiating the cities as being developed and developing country cities. We know that there are cases where there are economically well-advanced cities, well-advanced countries, but if there is a weakness in the local level, this is also impacting them. Already, we have seen it in the cases, even in the heat waves in 2003, or in the case of Sandy and Katrina in the case of the US, and we have seen this in the case of Haiyan. There are also good practices from a lot of developing countries. The question is that there are 3 points of success, which is an ambitious local leader, which is courageous, which is really going forward to the right way, skilled staff, and strong engagement with the citizens. In the case of downscaling scenarios, true, and in that sense there are a number of initiatives like assessment of climate change in cities, which is ARC3, which has been launched a couple of years ago at the Resilient Cities Congress. This process is a global assessment, city by city, and colleagues from the Urban Climate Change Research Network based in Columbia University in New York, they were developing this, and they are trying to work on the second version of it. They had already mobilized a number of demonstrations during Warsaw at the US Center, and downscaling is the case for a city in US, in a city in Africa, but of course the available of tools, the available of data is of course a unique challenge. We look forward to having this kind of filling the gaps with the scientific community like IPCC work and the local governments and the research community. But of course, this has to be backed up to all cities, but the developing countries have, in terms of the resources, as the biggest challenge.
Which is also why financing is a main topic in the roadmap process. So thank you very much, Yunus, ladies and gentlemen, for your interactive questions. We hope we've answered all your questions, but as I said, if not, please feel free to continue asking these. And please encourage other city networks, local government associations to join the roadmap process and stimulate and mobilize as many cities as we can to get the COP21 on track and make sure that we are moving in the right direction with climate change mitigation and adaptation. Thank you very much and have a good morning.
Sorry, Mareike, to interrupt.
Yes,
do we still have time? I just posted you some comments from Bogota, the city of Bogota. I posted them in the chat. They sent them via email.
In the chat. Oh,
yes.
Sorry, I was monitoring the questions part. Okay, we've got a question. Oh, a couple of questions. Okay, then, sorry,
Yeah,
I retract. You still can have a good morning, afternoon, and evening, but need to hold on a bit longer for our questions. Questions from Bogota. In November 2012, during the Bogota Cities and Climate Change Summit, 26 cities, most of them from Latin America, the Caribbean and the Andean zones, as well as many Colombian cities, signed the Declaration of Bogota, Humane Cities Facing Climate Change, which makes a strong link between climate change and water issues in the cities. Would it be possible to have it included in the local government climate roadmap as a milestone for the year 2012?
Mareike, if you like, you read the whole three questions because some of them are interrelated.
Okay. Second question. Bogota will host the second high-level dialogue Rio +20, organized by UNDESA and the Global Forum on Human Settlements in Bogota from June the 2nd to 4th. We believe this is a great space to show the advantages of the local government climate roadmap, and we invite ICLE to become a partner of Bogota in this event. And the third question, of course our city will be present and active at the COP20 in our sister city Lima, so please count on Bogota as a strategic regional partner of ICLE for the city's agenda to the COP in Lima. About that process, we would like to know more about the two pre-COP events. Yunus, over to you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for the contribution. We were very aware of the ambitious and innovative approaches with Bogota. The Bogota Declaration was inspired by Mexico's Pact, and it's an excellent example how regional and local initiatives can be triggered by global processes. And in that sense, ICLE's South America Secretariat is already in collaboration with our colleagues from Bogota. Concretely speaking, definitely Bogota could be mobilized as a national or regional champion. Let me just show you an example of the roadmap where we have the United Cities and Local Governments Africa Division, which joined the process through the Local Climate Solutions Africa, which was hosted in October in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, just before 2 weeks before the Warsaw Summit. And a similar notion can be considered for Bogota. You can see here Mexico's Pact, the brand is also there, and we can definitely have Bogota as a strong supporter of the roadmap. And definitely Latin American engagement in this next couple of months is crucial. You already have mentioned there is a couple of events, and we also know World Urban Forum is also hosted in Medellin. And in that sense, we encourage to connect with our South America Secretariat and with us, so that in Lima and the social COP in Caracas, we show a strong engagement of the cities and local governments. Of course, the biggest, honestly speaking, challenge is 2014 is a huge agenda with almost every week and month there is another event going on, and we also know that in many parts of the world, including Europe, South Africa, South Korea, Indonesia, India, there are local and national elections going forward, and for most of the mayors and local government representatives under a huge agenda at the domestic level, it's not easy for international travels. We just wanted to align and accommodate the agendas, share of the burden of international visits, but we have to follow up from one after each other so that every event is building upon the next one. In that sense, we would definitely be looking forward to the World Urban Forum. ICLEI will be represented at a high level with Vice President Marta Delgado and Florence Lalo as the representative of ICLEI in the South America Secretariat, and colleagues from World Secretariat as well. The June 2 to 4 is the summit where Global Human Settlements Forum is convening. A similar version of that was held in Berlin, and ICLEI was there, and we strongly would like to see how we can support. But let's recall that event is almost overlapping with the Cities Forum at the UNFCCC, so we should be realistic in terms of how to ensure appropriate engagement. And definitely Colombia as a country is also very unique, because Colombia was a strong advocate of sustainable development goals. Bogota has also been working with scientific community for urban SDGs. So there's a lot of innovative and leadership that Bogota can play, and finally, Mayor of Bogota was already a strong voice in Warsaw. He had participated both the cities and subnational dialogue at the COP presidency. He had participated in Momentum for Change, urban poor activities. So we could strongly see that there's a continuity of efforts, and we look forward to your proposals, and our office would definitely be helping us to connect to the agenda there. For the pre-COP, the Caracas event is in July, on the 15th of July, but we're in touch with the Venezuelan government. Hopefully by the next negotiations round in March, in the middle of March, we will have some more information about how to connect to the social COP in Caracas in July and in November.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Yunus. I would like to list one other opportunity for a webinar on VNAMAs. These are vertically integrated national appropriate mitigation actions. This is organized by the GIZ on the 26th of February, so in 2 days at 10 o'clock Central European time. For anybody interested in that, we will upload this and the link to go to this webinar on the Roadmap website if you're interested, or you can send us an email and we will send you the link. So you're warmly invited to join the VNAMA webinar, and we hope to do several more of these webinars in anticipation of the COP in Lima. Thank you very much for your active participation and for your questions, and we hope to keep in touch. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye.